last time I had my presentation was like, oh no, Nihang. Uh, Sige, ako sa ikoan ha while waiting for the others to be here. Uh, form. Why this cannot baban eh? Ah, okay. Version of the screen share. Can you see clearly, Rashid?
Yes, Doc.
Kana ra nagkuan ra akong gimanipulate nag-next ra siya.
Yes, Doc.
Ay, kalisod ani eh. Hala. Oh my God, kalisod jud eh. Okay. Na nabatanan so that we can start. Para mahuman na ta and I'm not gonna keep you long because I'm sure na apa si Doc Maluto mag-discuss and then it's a very, very cold morning. I hope you all had breakfast na. Mag-start na ko ha?
Yes, Doc.
So good morning, everyone. I am Dr. Maverick Humphrey Talia, and I'll be your lecturer for today. The topic is Guillain-Barré syndrome. For the objectives, I would like to present the course and progress of a 50-year-old male adult who came in due to left arm weakness, to discuss the management of GBS. So this is a case of RL, 53 years old male, single Filipino, Roman Catholic from Tagbilaran City who came in with a chief complaint of left arm weakness. Wala ko'y kuan, dili siya mo work ako ang mga visuals anyway, kalisod. Um, History of present illness. 3 hours prior to admission, there is an onset of left arm weakness associated with right eyelid drippings. No meds taken, no consult done. 10 days earlier, patient had sore throat and stuffy nose. Took cetirizine 10 milligrams per tab once a day with resolution. Persistence of symptoms prompted consult, thus admission. For the past medical history, patient was a known hypertensive and known gouty arthritis with maintenance meds of losartan 50 milligrams once a day and febuxostat 40 milligrams once a day. Patient is a non-smoker, non-alcoholic beverage drinker, and denies illicit drug use. Patient works as a chemical engineer. Heredofamilial disease include diabetes in both paternal and maternal side. For the physical examination, patient was examined awake, coherent, and not in respiratory distress with the following vital signs. Mostly unremarkable except for your BMI with Asia Pacific classification of 24.9, which is overweight. Skin, no rashes, no lesions, warm, moist. For the HENT, anecteric sclerae, pink palpebral conjunctivae, dry lips, no nasooral discharges. For the neck, sapotrachea, midline, no apparent masses, chest and lungs, equal chest expansion with clear breath sounds. For the heart, a dynamic precordium, regular rate and rhythm, no murmur, abdomen, flabby, 10 low pitch gurgling sounds per minute, no organomegaly, soft, non-tender. For the neurologic examination, patient is dysarthric, had right eyelid droop, left facial droop, and a left held tongue. No nystagmus, ophthalmoplegia, ataxia, or hearing loss was noted. His muscle strength was 4/5 in the left upper limb in both the proximal and distal muscles. Sensory, 100%, and your deep tendon reflex in all extremities is 1+. CT scan was done to rule out um, stroke at this point, which revealed no acute infarcts or hemorrhages as seen on the film. At the ER, patient initially was handled as a case of cerebrovascular disease infarct at the posterior circulation. Patient's family then signed waiver not to be given with IV thrombolysis. For the course in the wards, condition deteriorated with quadriplegia and bilateral peripheral facial palsy. Cranial MRI was done with magnetic resonance angiography, all unremarkable. On hospital day 2, there is bilateral ophthalmoplegia, dysphagia, dyspnea, and numbness in all extremities. Patient then was referred to surgery for tracheostomy and for um, CSF fluid analysis, which revealed of protein of 0.87 grams per liter, WBC of 5 times 10 to the power of 6 per liter, which revealed, of course, increase in protein but normal WBC. There were also high levels of anti-GQ1B, anti-GM1, anti-GM2, anti-GM3, and anti-GD1 alpha, anti-GD1 beta, and anti-GT1B were all negative. Nerve conduction studies were also done. The nerve conduction studies results showed that the amplitudes of the bilateral facial median ulnar and right peroneal motor nerves were reduced. The occurrence rates of the F wave in the left median nerve and ulnar nerve were reduced, and the F wave was absent in the right median nerve. And the rest of the testing revealed normal results. Unfortunately, the H wave could not be detected in either leg due to the limitations of the patient's posture. According to the NCS result, mild to moderate damage of your... Oops. Hello?
Yes, Doc.
Shoot. Alang ano kahang... Shoot. Okay. So, according to the NCS results, mild to moderate damage to multiple motor nerves was considered. He then received an intravenous immunoglobulin of 0.4 kilograms per day for 5 days. After the 20 days of systemic therapy, his dysphagia, dyspnea, facial paralysis, ocular movement disorder, and leg weakness recovered almost completely. So we're gonna go now to the topic. So your GBS, most common cause of acute or subacute general is one of the most common cause of the acute or subacute generalized paralysis incidence of 0.4 to 1.7 cases per 100,000 persons per year, usually preceded by a mild respiratory or GI infection 1 to 3 weeks prior. So that is a clue. It is really important. We should always go back to our history and PE as what we usually emphasize when asking our patient when you go to the clinics to really to have that to really dig in for the history of the patient. We have the mnemonics of old cards of the onset of the symptom, the location, the duration, the characteristic, the aggregating factors, the relieving factors, the timing, and of course, with that, we know that 80 to 90% of the diagnosis comes from the history and PE. That's why it is really important to usually ask. For this case, for our patient, the clue was the mild respiratory infection 1 to 3 weeks prior. So you have to take note as well of those pertinent findings. Most common infection or agent, bacteriologic agent, is your Campylobacter jejuni. And of course, we also have viral infection like your herpes family, your cytomegalo, your HIV, and of course, your Epstein-Barr virus. So, Doc, unsa man jud siya, Doc? Actually, it's just a clue jud na siya that the patient had an infection, whether if it's a respiratory or a GI infection, then the patient randomly had lower extremity weakness. No? Para dili ta maglibog tanan-tanan. But of course, we cannot just again rule out because such most common jud is ang stroke. So, it's hard sometimes to really, if we're gonna base it clinically, it's really hard to just diagnose. That's why you really need to go back most of the time to the history and PE. Once we are able to identify and be able to diagnose, we can immediately give the proper management to our patients. Symptomatology, please do not forget this is a rapidly evolving areflexic motor paralysis. It is an ascending paralysis. So from gikan sa ubos, pasaka siya with or without sensory deficit. So the legs are usually more affected than the arms. There is facial palsy in 50%. And since lower cranial nerves are mostly involved, there's presence of bulbar palsy manifesting uh, pulmonary toilet. That's why if we are gonna correlate it to our patient, the patient was referred for tracheostomy because of the poor pulmonary toilet that the patient needs to have maintenance airway to provide the proper mechanical ventilation to our patient. Bladder dysfunction may occur in severe cases, but it is usually transient. So, if there is bladder dysfunction and it occurred earlier than the said symptoms, then we also need to rule out or to rule in spinal cord diseases. Electrophysiologic and CFS studies are most important. In your AIDP, the earliest features are prolonged F-wave latencies, prolonged distal latencies, and reduced amplitudes of compound muscle action potentials, probably owing to the predilection for involvement of nerve roots, distal motor nerve terminals early in the course. Later, slowing of conduction velocity, conduction block, and temporal dispersion may be appreciated. For your CSF naman, findings which are distinctive, consisting of an elevated CSF protein, as what you have noticed to our patient, without accompanying pleocytosis. If we're gonna go back to the case, again, there is elevated protein, CSF protein, and no increase in WBC. If there is an increase in WBC, then we have a differential of HIV, viral myelitis, leukemia or lymphoma, and sarcoidosis. I hope you are taking note of this, ha? And then, of course, for your MRI, gadolinium enhancement of your equina, and for the sodium, you will have hyponatremia secondary to your SIAD. Other acute phase reactants like your ESR is normal. So we're gonna go to your um, AIDP or your acute inflammatory demyelinating polyneuropathy, in which it is an early step in the induction of tissue damage appears to be complement deposition along the outer surface of the Schwann cell. Activation of complete initiates a characteristic vesicular disintegration in the myelin sheath and also leads to recruitment of activated macrophages, which participate in damage to myelin axons. It is the most common of all the GBS type, and of course it is more common in adults than in children, with a rapid recovery. So, Doc, you said, Doc, earlier about manifestations of the symptomatology that it is an ascending paralysis. But then again, that's why we correlate everything accordingly with the history and PE because there is such variance as well that it's not always ascending paralysis. And but usually ascending paralysis yun nakasagaran jud ang imuhang makitaan but there are some lang. So that's why always go back to the history and PE. Important tool is always assess the DTR. And of course, you have your acute axonal form or your AMAN. It is a widespread, severe axonal degeneration, rapid evolution, slow, poor, and incomplete recovery unlike sa katong imong AIDP. And then there is early muscle atrophy and anti-GM1 ganglioside. Your complement is deposited along with IgG at the nodes of Ranvier along large motor axons in cases of AMAN. Antibodies against GD1A appear to have a fine specificity that favors binding to motor. Other GBS variants is your pharyngeal, cervical, brachial, in which the patient would manifest difficulty of swallowing and, of course, neck and proximal weakness. This is often accompanied by ptosis and ophthalmoplegia. Also, another GBS variant is your Miller-Fisher syndrome. It is a triad of complete ophthalmoplegia, ataxia, and areflexia. Anti-GQ1B IgG antibodies are found in more than 90% of these patients, and titers of the IgG are highest in the early course. The anti-GQ1B actually antibodies are not found in other forms unless there is extraocular motor nerve involvement. Ha? So, closed na siya. If there is extraocular motor involvement, you will be expecting an a positive anti-GQ1B. But mostly, if wala siya kuan, extraocular and then positive siya og GQ1B, then most likely this is Miller-Fisher syndrome. Other GBS variants, you will have bilateral facial and abducens weakness with distal parathesias, bilateral but asymmetrical, paraparetic ataxic, and purely motor or purely sensory. So for the pathogenesis, it is a cell-mediated immunologic reaction. Can anyone answer me what type of hypersensitivity reaction is this? What type? Type 1, type 2, type 3, type 4, type 5? Sama na. Oops. Oh no.
Type 4,
Type
Doc.
2, Doc.
Type 4.
Unsa man day ang type 4? Delayed man siya.
Type 2, Doc.
Type 2 is
Antibody-mediated, Doc.
type 3.
Immune complexes, Doc.
Type 1.
IgE.
IgE. So kani asa man ni siya? Type 1, type 2, type 3, type 4.
Type 2, Doc. Antibody-mediated.
Cell-mediated man siya, no? It is antibody-mediated. So this is more of a type 2. So antibodies directed against components of nerve ganglioside. Again, the anti-GQ1B is for cases for patients having ophthalmoplegia, and then of course for patients having pharyngeal, brachial, cervical, you're gonna have a positive anti-G1A or anti-GT1B. For your anti-GM1, it is predominantly motor, axonal, and of course the position of complement on the inner myelin layer. Ay, nag-chat. Sorry kayo. Kasama ka nila. Uy. Endoneural, perivascular lymphocytic infiltrates are also seen, and then segmental demyelination and variable degrees of Wallerian degeneration. So there is an active process of anterograde degeneration of the distal end of an axon that is a result of a nerve lesion. For your differentials for GBS, you can have like an acute spinal cord lesion in spinal shock or necrotizing myelopathy with more permanent tendon reflex loss. You can have the tick paralysis in which there is no sensory loss and CSF is normal. Kay 'di ba ang imong GBS kay pada man siya with or without sensory loss man siya. But the CSF again is unsa gay to Rashid imuhang expected CSF?
Na ay
Increased protein, Doc, and normal.
Increase protein levels, Doc.
So I'll be expecting nyo ha nga ma-answer na ninyo ha naghatag na jud kog kuan number 1 na namoy 1 point. Jud. Carcinomatosis, meningitis, there is sequential involvement of one limb than another, usually more in chronic. And of course, for your basilar arterial thrombosis, there is brisk reflexes, and for your MG, of course, no sensory symptoms, normal reflexes. For the treatment, it should be initiated as soon after diagnosis as possible since each day counts. 2 weeks after the first motor symptoms, it is not known whether immunotherapy is still effective and if the patient has already reached a plateau stage. The treatment then is probably no longer indicated unless the patient still has severe motor weakness, and one cannot exclude the possibility that an immunologic attack is still going. So usually ha, if 2 weeks na after sa iyang symptoms, wala na siya gamit. Not unless there's no usually do we usually give? I haven't kuan pa. But it didn't came to a point nga nag 2 weeks. I haven't seen a case pa nga 2 weeks the patient had kanang 2 weeks of lower extremity weakness but it's still stable. So with that point gihapon, since there is no deterioration man on the 2 weeks of the patient, nalang jud siya kanang motor weakness but wala siya mga dysphagia, and also you can just not give your immunotherapy kay ineffective naman siya. Either high dose IV immunoglobulin or plasmapheresis can be initiated. A combination is not that significant of the two. IVIG is often the initial therapy chosen because of its ease of administration and good safety record, usually administered as 5 daily infusions for a total dose of 2 grams per kilogram body weight. So, most patients who are fat or big or inana sila ka bugat, grabe-grabe jud siya BMI, because IVIG is really expensive, mayabag jud mo og palit ani jud kay accordingly sa weight man siya. So as much as possible, you need to control your weight in kaso magka GBS mo para if maghatag og IVIG dili kay na nakamahal. Functionally significant improvement may occur toward the end of the first week of the treatment or may be delayed for several weeks. The lack of noticeable improvement following a course of IVIG or your plasma exchange is not an indication to treat with the alternate treatment. Glucocorticoids have not been found to be effective in GBS. Occasional patients with very mild forms of GBS, especially those who appear to have already reached a plateau when initially seen, may be managed conservatively without IV, IG, or your plasma exchange. Again ha, ang imong ihatag is your IVIG and your plasma exchange ra because your glucocorticoids is not found to be effective. And of course, we do not just manage limitedly of our patients. we also need to monitor if there is autonomic instability. So we need to monitor the BP, the heart rate as well to have to have a better outcome. Prevention of general medical problems, complications of prolonged immobilization, bed sores, UTI, hospital-acquired pneumonia. So with that, usually, so if the patient is unable to void, we usually attach FBC. Um, but during the monitoring, as long as the patient is able to urinate, then there's um, no signs of bladder dysfunction, then there's no need for an FBC. We also need to be careful with the bed sores kay we usually admit this patient at the ICU to have proper monitoring and to of course to monitor if there is such deterioration. So mahog naman ni sila nga nara ni sila sa bed, so you really need to put the patient side to side to prevent such bed sores. Prognosis: 85% of patients achieve a full functional recovery within several months to a year, while mortality rate is less than 5%. So for the concept map, hala kasayang sa ako ang koan. Ay, kapoy ba ako edit ani sa ako ang koan kanang slide. Okay. Na siya design. Anyway, so presenting to you a case of a 55-year-old male presented with left arm weakness, glossolalia, and right eyelid droop for a duration of 3 hours. He had a sore throat and stuffy nose 10 days earlier. Other than having hypertension and gout, his medical history was unremarkable. None of his family members had experienced similar symptoms, and on admission, his vital signs were normal and his higher mental functions were appropriate for his age. Neurological examination showed dysarthria, right eyelid droop, left facial droop, and left held tongue. No nystagmus, ophthalmoplegia, ataxia, or hearing loss was noticed. His muscle strength was 4/5 in the left upper limb in both the proximal and distal muscles. There was no sensory function deficit and DTR were present and symmetrical. The results of coordination tests and gait tests were normal and Panther responses were normal bilaterally. The results of the rest of his PE were normal. The results of his brain CT scan were normal. And in summary, he was managed as having a posterior circulation infarct. The patient and his family did not agree, of course, to be given IV thrombolysis because of the risk of bleeding. 8 hours after then, when he was admitted, his condition deteriorated and quadriplegia and bilateral peripheral facial palsy was noted. Immediately, at that point, cranial MRI with magnetic resonance angiography was performed but no abnormal manifestations were found both on the cervical and thoracic spinal MRI, and results were normal. Because of this new unremarkable neuroimaging result, GBS became the primary working diagnosis. GBS is classically diagnosed by its clinical characteristics, which consist of symmetrical distal limb weakness and/or paresthesia following a mild respiratory or GI viral infection. An atypical presentation constitutes a diagnostic challenge for medical specialists given the symptomatic heterogeneity and diverse diagnostic possibilities. There have been, of course, very few reports on GBS patients presenting with unilateral limb weakness or facial palsy as onset symptoms. Among them, the symptoms of some patients were suspected of indicating the onset of stroke. Brainstem stroke sometimes presents with symptoms similar to GBS, and the clinical manifestations of brainstem stroke are varied and depend on the site of the occlusion. So there is, if you can review sa cardinal manifestations sa Harrison's na nadira tanan for a patient coming in for weakness. Um, what laboratory test should we order first? And we cannot just rule out stroke at that point until such um neuroimaging has been done. Usually, the most common imaging to be requested as the initial screening is your CT scan brain plane. Although the gold standard is MRI, but it is not always readily available. So, CT scan is the most appropriate answer. The acute sudden onset of your limb paralysis and cranial paralysis in this patient led us to first consider the possibility of stroke. However, the patient rapidly progressed to quadriplegia and bilateral nerve palsy. But again, kato, because of the CT scan, manggod nga imaging, normal man sad gud siya. So, which of course led us to realize that this patient may be having GBS. And GBS is a disease that is life-threatening at any time rather than stroke. So, please note that this patient's initial presentation was also consistent with your pharyngeal cervical brachial variant, um, which characterized by acute weakness of the oropharyngeal neck and shoulder muscles associated with areflexia in the upper limbs. Patients with pharyngeal cervical brachial variant are more likely to have IgG anti-GT1A antibodies, which were discussed earlier, which may cross-react with GQ1B. The PCB variant usually does not or only slightly affect the lower extremities, but this patient quickly developed severe paralysis of the lower extremity. Therefore, that's why patient needs to be admitted at the ICU for close observation and timely diagnosis are highly recommended. In this way, the potentially catastrophic consequences of more severe conditions can be avoided. Again, neuroimaging is a valuable diagnostic tool in differentiating stroke from GBS. So, it is known that the ophthalmoplegia, usually bilateral siya, is one part of the triad of the Miller-Fisher syndrome. No? Katong na-discuss ganiha. So, interestingly, this is a case of a Miller-Fisher syndrome. Interestingly, patients with GBS can occasionally also present with various patterns of ophthalmoplegia, as what I have said. And then, in addition to prominent limb motor weakness, it has been suggested that ophthalmoplegia in GBS is caused by a similar pathological mechanism as peripheral nerve involvement in the extremity. There are studies by Kim et al. Which suggested that ophthalmoplegic GBS occupies a clinical and immunological position between Miller-Fisher syndrome and non-ophthalmoplegic GBS. They found that the most distinct feature in ophthalmoplegic GBS patients was the frequent presence of bulbar palsy and facial dysplasia. Most patients with ophthalmoplegic GBS had bilateral ophthalmoplegia with involvement of the third and sixth cranial nerves during the disease course. It has also been reported that the anti-GQ1B antibody is closely associated with ophthalmoplegia in GBS. So, your electrodiagnostic studies are really not required to diagnose GBS, although they are important, um, since they can be of aid in support of the diagnosis, especially if your patients had atypical manifestations. So, however, um, your electrophysiological measurements might be normal when done earlier in the disease course, usually within 1 week of symptoms. You cannot appreciate bitaw such um, results. Usually normal ra jud siya. Or in patients with initially proximal weakness, mild disease, slow progression or clinical variants. So at if we are really contemplating GBS, we may repeat an electrodiagnostic study 2 to 3 weeks, which can be helpful again if there are changes. So GBS is a self-limited disease, but immunomodulator therapy should be started if the patient is unable to walk independently for 10 minutes. Evidence on treatment efficacy in patients who can still walk independently is limited, but treatment should be considered, especially if these patients display rapidly progressive weakness or other severe symptoms. So there are two as what we have discussed. You have the IgG and your plasma exchange. Clinical trials have demonstrated a treatment effect for IVIG when started within 2 weeks of onset of weakness and for plasma exchange when started within 4 weeks. So beyond this period, evidence of efficacy is lacking, but usually by practice we give bitaw gihapon. I don't know. I forgot na. Accordingly to several studies, PE and IVIG were found to be equally effective in the management of GBS. However, despite similar efficacies, IVIG is more widely used for GBS due to its higher availability, lack of need for specialized equipment for administration, and of course, relatively reduced risk for adverse effect. However, the decision to perform um, plasma exchange or IVIG may depend on the patient's clinical circumstances and local factors. So our patient had significant improvement with IVIG. So further comparative studies are needed to evaluate the efficacies of these two treatments options to determine whether there are any differences in response to each variant of GBS. So for our patient, after the IVIG, there was resolution of symptoms. Patient then was discharged, improved, and then follow-up recovered with no sequelae. Thank you.
Thank you, Doc.
Are there any questions? Rashid, one ta mag-exam ani.
Next week ata, Doc.
Wa pa man ko nahuman sa akong discussion, sa ako ang lectures, daghan bitaw kay kog lectures. Ambot nganong ang gipanghatag sa ako kay mga lisod. I'll be sharing you my I'll be giving you my notes, but I hope you were listening to my discussion. Kinaaratanan sa discussion, Jud, which was kanang sa natawag, balik-balik na emphasize. I also want you to still read Harrison's, na radyo na tanan sa Harrison's, ang ako ang discussion. Please read as well and take note. But I hope, di jud mo ma-zero kay klaro na jud kay ako nang kibalik-balik og emphasize jud. When is our next lecture? Nas Derek.
Doc,
Uh, ah, Kinsay nakabaw sa ako ang next schedule bitaw. Nakalimot na bitaw ko because by next month manggod, it's almost done. Hala, dali ara sa panahon. Ay, shoot, October na, shit. Bagong tuig na. Merry Christmas. We have like 100 days left. 100
Doc,
days.
ang next exam kay Kuan, Doc, October 3, Friday.
I guess dili man tingay na maapil ang ako ang kuan. Ay, ang ako ang maapil ba na ang akong exam? Dili lang tingali. Kapuy. Ay, I made an exam, but it's mixed with my other topics. I'm not entirely sure if it will be included sa kuan. I guess dili patingali. I guess you'll be having Dr. Maluto's examination patingali. No?
Mag-ask na ako kang Doc Paya, Doc.
Sige, sige. Alam my God, 97 days left na before mahuman ang 2026. Diyos ko. I hope kanang sa natawag.
Doc,
Yes.
sa schedule ako nagitan aron Doc kay October 15 imong next spinal cord ug TBI.
Kaya yung sad, oy. Paano sa ako magkuan, mag-infectious?
Ang infectious, Doc, kay October 20 onwards siya mag-start. 22.
Makatuon naman ka mo, anak. Sige,
Ah,
sige, kana lang. My exam is still case-based. Doc, mag-repeat. Di jud ko mag-repeat. Sorry jud kayo, guys. I just finished making the examination. I will not repeat my exam. Jud, since I'm still new, maghimo pa jud kog daghan questions kay wala pa ko question bank. So, but then again, I usually emphasize that most of my uh, stuff nga akong gi-emphasize usually naara na dira manggawas. I tried to twist things lang jud sa when it comes to the questions para nasa gamay nga thrill o gamay nga chirba. But hopefully maka-answer ta. Doc, wala ba'y pinaskuhan? Grant sa'yo pa kayo, Grant. Pero Merry Christmas. Wala sa ko'y Pasko ron. Murag di ko mamasko ron. Bugnaw akong Pasko ron, Grant. Sorry jud kay Grant. Betaw. Para na dyan magkuan na tapuhon, mag-celebrate ta once mahumantag ay tanan-tanan. Pagpasar mong third year, ha? And, para magkakita ra tapuhon-puhon sa clinics. Kana lang sa if there are no more questions, we can end na para makasulod na to. Si Doc Maluto ang sunod, no? Nanabas Doc Maluto?
Hi, Ma'am. I'll start at 10:20 a.m.
Hi, Day. Laban, Day.
Yeah, ni-try lang po tanaw kay kung unsay set up sa Zoom lecture. Pero 10:20 na ta mag-start.
Ay, di ka
Thank you.
Ay, di ka karon, ma'am. Nag-uwan ba ya, ma'am?
Clinic. Ang suspended ang klase ra. Ang trabaho dili.
No, wapa ko kadag sa babida, bitaw sa mukha. But di naman nun baha.
Oh, kaloy sa Ginoo. Pero balamban bi ako dai, so it's very hangin and
Guys, pag-amping mo guys ha, dapat part man na sa requirement o sa medicine nga maghatag ang kuan ang council og boots para na ay mga kuan-kuan. Ang Orhelio prone di siya og kuan baha.
question lang, ma'am. While on lecture, allowed lang nga dili naka-on ang camera sa students?
depende sa preceptor, Doc.
I really do not know. I really do not know. But ako okay ra. But if gusto mo mag-open, okay ra bitaw. I'm also karon po, Jane, sorry kay Jane, karon po ko kabalik og Zoom bitaw sa ako ang mga lectures. I rarely do Zoom ang good. So, but if ikaw gusto ka mag-open para makakita ka sa ilahang mga kagandahan nga faces, grabe gwapo diri.
Okay ra, kay basin pag pa sa silang mata. Okay ra kung hapon akong lecture.
If gwapo mo, padara jud mo mag-online. If dili kay hala. Bitaw, joke. Sige, sige.
Mo-out sa
Bye.
mga na ako'y patient. Mga 10:20 mag-start ta.
Bye guys. Pag-break sa mga
Bye-bye.
bye-bye.
Thank you, Doc.
Ang
Thank
trabaho.
Thank you, Doc.
Thank you, Doc.
Thank you, Doc.